All right, good news. Actually, I don't have any good news. We're going to talk about math. That's your good news. I just dropped my pen. We're going to talk about inequalities in one variable. We're going to start with some basic inequalities. Oh, I do have good news. All right, the good news is that solving, it's the bolded parts. I had just lost my train of thought. Solving linear equalities is almost the same as solving linear equations. The exception, do you know it? If so, write it down. Is that whenever you multiply or divide by a negative number, the inequality sign reverses. Okay, so a greater than sign goes to a less than sign and so on, okay? So as a reminder, what does a solution to an equation mean? It's just a number that makes the equation true. Okay. Inequalities are the same thing, just a number that makes the inequality true. Okay, so let's solve this inequality and answer in interval notation. We have 3x plus 7 has to be greater than or equal to 1. I apologize ahead of time. Sometimes my 7s look like greater than signs. We'll subtract 7 from both sides. That's what we would do for an, and we're not multiplying or dividing by a negative, so we don't have to worry about anything, nothing special. That's going to be greater than or equal to negative 6 now. Divide both sides by a positive 3, so we're good to go. We're dividing by a positive number, we're okay. This is going to be greater than or equal to negative 2. And we can put that in interval notation. Smallest number that's okay is negative 2. That is included. The biggest number that works is positive infinity, which is negative, never included. That's our answer. Great, we did it. What do I mean check some of your answers? Because there's an infinite number of answers that work here. Infinitely many of the numbers work. Everything in this interval works. So, you know, anything bigger than or equal to negative 2 should work. So negative 2 should work. Negative 1 should work. 0 should work. 5,000 should work. Let's check them. So if we plug in negative 2, we're going to get 3 times negative 2. Whoa, Jason, that's not a 2. That's not what a 2 looks like. 3 times negative 2 plus 7. And we want to know, is that greater than or equal to 1? Well, that's negative 6. Negative 6 plus 7 is 1. Yeah, 1's greater than or equal to 1. Great, that's true. Negative 2 is one of our infinitely many solutions. We could do the same thing with 1. We could do the same thing with 0. Is 3 times 0 plus 7, is that greater than or equal to positive 1? Well, that's 7. Is 7 greater than or equal to positive 1? Yes, it is. 7 is bigger than 1. That's true. So any number that we check, any number in this interval should check out. Graph this on Desmos. This looks a little weird, but here's one way that we can do it. We want to know all the points where 3x plus 7 is bigger than or equal to 1. So let's graph, what does 3x plus 7 look like? It's a line. Let's graph 1. When is 3x plus 7, the blue, bigger than 1, the green? Well, notice that blue is bigger to the right of this point. What's to the right of this point? This is the point where x is negative 2. What's to the right of negative 2? This interval. All right. That's visually what we can look like. We won't graph these very much, but if you want to see visually, you can kind of look at it that way. Graph your solution on the number line. We said our answers were everything bigger than or equal to negative 2. So on a number line, right? Let's just, you know, maybe this is 0, maybe this is 2, maybe this is negative 2, who knows? We can graph it as everything. You can use a bracket. Sometimes we use closed circles. I actually don't remember which one we used in this class. Circles or brackets? I don't know. You could graph it like this. Example 2. Let's solve this other equation and ask if a certain thing is a solution. So to solve this equation, let's subtract 12 from both sides. That's going to give us that negative 4x is less than negative 6. And then we're going to divide both sides by a negative 4. Oh. Whenever you multiply or divide by a negative, the inequality sign reverses. Let's make sure to reverse it here. So the left-hand side is still x. The right-hand side that's 3 over 2, or 1.5. But instead of a less than sign, we got a greater than sign now. Okay? So in interval notation, the smallest number that we can be is 1.5. The biggest number we can be is infinity. 1.5 is not included, so it gets a parenthesis. And that's our answer. You could graph this on the number line to help you get there. So is 0 a solution? 0 is not in this interval, so hopefully it's not a solution. Otherwise, we're wrong. That's a good way to check whenever you have negatives. So we think 0 shouldn't be a solution, but let's check. Is 12 minus 4 times 0, is that less than 6? Well, is 12 less than 6? No, I don't think so. So x equals 0 is not a solution. It does not make this inequality true. It makes it false. So that's why it's not a solution. All right, we got more practice in the next video. Hope this made a little sense. You can get some practice now or wait for more practice. Enjoy.